Is it possible for nutrition professionals to make over six figures a year? Hey there, my name is Bob Seebohar. I am the owner of Energy Performance, and I am a nutrition professional, sport dietitian. And I can tell you wholeheartedly from experience, the answer to that question is yes, but it depends, right? So here's the thing, the landscape with nutrition professionals, whether you're a registered dietitian, a nutritionist, nutrition professional, whatever it is, the landscape is that we don't get taught how to make money, right? We get taught how to provide services and sometimes not even value, but just services to individuals. Now, this is where it really gets interesting. If you're not taught how to make money, what happens is your ceiling of financial gain or reward is always low, right? It's a skill. Making money is actually a skill that you have to learn. So let me take you through my scenario, my personal example here, right? So early on, I am a registered dietitian. I went to school for exercise and sports science, exercise physiology, and nutrition to become a registered dietitian. Now, early in my career, I did the normal thing, right? You kind of graduate, did my internship, got my registered dietitian status, and then found a job, right? Now, we tend to go through these jobs differently for different purposes, right? So I found my way through, like working at a sport medicine center as a sport dietitian, working at a college, a university, really well-known university as the director of sport nutrition, went on to the Olympic committee to work as one of the first sport dietitians. So we go through our career for different reasons. Now, what I specifically did, I always had goals of being a sport dietitian in a collegiate setting, in the Olympic setting, and in a professional team setting. So that was one of my career goals. Now, early on, my career goal was not to make a lot of money, right? Because no one teaches us that, right? As nutrition professionals, they're like, yeah, go help people, right? But you can make a lot of money. And I didn't realize that until actually I left the US Olympic and Paralympic Committee in 2008 and went full on private practice, small business owner. Now, here's what I learned and what I want to share with you that can help you pretty much increase your revenue when done correctly. And obviously, there's some skills that you need to learn. But what I noticed was once you stop working at least full time for someone, you have to start learning a different skill set. And that skill set is really more of the business side of things, right? Not only the business structure, right? But also the marketing, the advertising, the copywriting, all of these great things. That in itself will help actually you and what helped me get above that six figure. So let me just give you an example. When I left in 2008, the US Olympic and Paralympic Committee, my income was fixed, right? I was making a certain amount of money per year there. The next year, I doubled that while being on my own. And that is nothing for me patting myself on the back, having a little ego boost now. It's basically to say and to prove to you that if you start to learn the skills that are necessary, you can actually make over six figures and more, even into the seven figures, right? But it takes some skill, it takes some practice, it takes some learning. So not only did I learn more about the business side, the marketing, the copywriting, everything that goes along with that, what I also did was I actually developed my nutrition philosophy and my system. So again, something that nobody ever teaches you early in your career, or even in university or in college, or even in certifications, right? They just cram you full of knowledge, which, hey, is great. We need to have a certain amount of knowledge. But if you can't approach your clients with your philosophy to be able to explain your philosophy and actually use your philosophy to develop a system, then you will always have a financial ceiling, always. And you may not even scratch that six figure mark at all. So let me talk more about this philosophy and system. Everybody is different, obviously, right? So it took me a little bit of intense work to really sit down and determine what my actual nutrition philosophy was. Now, I work with athletes. I am a sport dietitian, and that is my primary focal point, right? So my philosophy had to be surrounded with athletes and nutrition, right? So the philosophy is very interesting because it's not necessarily like an elevator pitch. That's a byproduct of your philosophy, but your philosophy will actually drive your business strategy and your business structure. So what I see is a lot of nutrition professionals, they enter the trade, or maybe they do 180 or even a 360, and they're like, oh, I need to figure something else out. And they just try to throw the spaghetti against the wall and not have a philosophy necessarily. They're just like, hey, I'll just teach about nutrition to anybody, it doesn't matter. And this isn't really about finding your niche or selecting a niche. It's really about getting your philosophy developed. What do you as a nutrition professional believe in? Because if you don't have that belief system, you can't develop a system that you will use to implement your philosophy, right? So philosophy is very, very, very important. Now, of course, your philosophy drives your nutrition system. And the system is actually what opens up different revenue opportunities and different revenue streams. So, as a nutrition professional, you should not only be focused on delivering one-on-one nutrition services or counseling or consulting services to individuals. That will never, ever get you above the six-figure mark. And if it does, congratulations, but you're probably working 80 hours a week and you're going to get burned out in probably 2 to 5 years, right? We don't want that, right? So the system is crucial for developing revenue and for increasing the ceiling. And in fact, for just blowing up your ceiling, right? A lot of people I've worked with in the past have no ceiling anymore because they have developed such a great system that they know how to implement that more strategically without any limitations on finances or revenue. Okay, back to the system. You've got your philosophy, you spent some time, you've done some soul searching, maybe you have a mentor helping you with that. Fantastic. The system is all about how are you going to actually teach? Because this is what makes you marketable. So, in my personal example, I have a 4-tier system that I use with athletes. Very simple, right? It includes biomarker and physiological testing, it includes foundational nutrition, which actually has the offset of working with the two concepts that I have created, nutrition periodization and metabolic efficiency training. It has nutrient timing strategies, and then it has supplementation. So I always know, like, my system is always this 4-tier model, and it always has these parts and pieces to it with every single athlete that I've ever worked with or will work with. So this could be young athletes, this could be masters athletes, it could be collegiate, it could be professional, it could be recreational, it could be gold medalist, it could be professional athletes on a team sport basis, doesn't matter. This is the beauty of your system. You use your philosophy to develop your system, what makes sense to you and how you actually deliver the information to your population. Then the system becomes automatic. You could literally, here's my example of this. You could literally talk to anybody on the street about nutrition, and you always start and follow your system. As an example, maybe I'm walking down the street and a hockey player comes up to me and says, Bob, teach me how to eat better, right? And then a gymnast comes up, hey, Bob, teach me how to eat better. Then a triathlete comes up. Guess what? Obviously, there's going to be some nuances there based on the sport and the gender and their competitive level. But guess what I start with and take them through? My nutrition system, because the system is what you want to stick with your entire career. Now, listen, you're going to refine your system. You're going to find that, like, wow, some of these things are you need to update based on current research, based on just how you provide information. I've done that quite a bit over the past 25 years that I've been a sport dietitian, is I refine things, especially as I talk to athletes, and you have to obviously meet them where they're at also. So your system will be updated, it will be refined, but again, the importance of using your system and developing your system, I cannot stress this enough because literally the sky is the limit when it comes to revenue and making money as a nutrition professional. If you first develop your philosophy, second, develop your system, because you can also take that to industry and do presentations, do work with maybe businesses, right? Because you're always taking your system and taking that into your educational focus. Okay, so let me rehash all this. Develop and spend a little bit of time on what your philosophy is in terms of nutrition. What is important to you? How are you going to teach it? What concepts specifically? It's not your system yet, right? But you want to put these keywords into your philosophy because that's going to drive your system. Then you formulate and create your system. Those are the implementation strategies and the timeline, essentially, that you will use when you are educating your clientele. As I mentioned, mine is a four-tier system. I always start from bottom to top, always, always. Like if an athlete has a question about a supplement, I always start at the bottom first. Even though the supplements are what they actually want me to talk to them about, I always start at the bottom because I want to take them through my system. Okay. I call it my optimal nutrition system, right? You can call yours whatever you want, right? But remember, once you've developed your system, you're going to use that for everything. Now, that said, I also want to tell you that you can always, always not only refine your system, but refine your revenue strategies and opportunities. So maybe you start out, which I did early in my business with energy performance. I started out just doing one-on-one consultations with athletes. I created a few packages. It was fantastic. And then I found I was starting to get a little bit overwhelmed because I was seeing so many athletes that wasn't allowing me a lot of time to do other things, such as presentations, such as group things, such as teamwork stuff, right? So, and I also found that my income, my ceiling level was starting to get pushed and it wasn't going up. Because listen, you only have so many hours in the day to provide one-on-ones, right? So what I did was I kind of pivoted a little bit, and that's when I started really refining my system to open it up a little bit, okay? But remember, you can start with your one-on-ones, absolutely, or maybe some teams, some presentation, depending on what you're doing in the nutrition realm, right? But I would highly recommend that you look outside the norm for revenue streams. So maybe look at some publishing things, some writing things. Maybe there are some social media opportunities. Maybe there's some industry opportunities, right? Just because we're nutrition professionals and we do a great job with one-on-one education with our clients doesn't mean you always have to do that, or doesn't also mean that your business has to rely on that revenue stream only. So to recap, philosophy, system will increase revenue streams. Now, I told you the first year after I left a full-time, very comfortable position and went off on my own full-time, my first year I doubled my income or I doubled the salary basically that I was making. Now, because I did a lot of work, like this does not come automatic overnight, right? I did a lot of work, a lot of soul searching, developed my philosophy, developed my system, refined my system, and then it took another year to triple my income. So what I'm telling you is the ceiling, your nutrition revenue ceiling always can increase, but you have to step outside your comfort zone a little bit and do some work on you. So can you improve? Can you make a great living as a nutrition professional? Absolutely. It doesn't have to be a side gig if you don't want it to be, right? But it will take a little bit of maneuvering. And it's not literally, it's not just about, oh, I just need to find more clients. No, you need to do work on you first. Philosophy, system equals more revenue streams. Once you get that idea, there will be unlimited revenue streams for you, literally. And you may even find that you can open up your nutrition practice to more populations that need your services. Because listen, you can take your system and go across different populations also. All right, I hope this helps. Please stay tuned for future videos. I'm going to provide as much of this beneficial value education as possible to help you succeed as a nutrition professional.